What is good, people? Welcome back to another video on 8 Count. In today's video, I'm going to be giving you my fight picks for the first UFC fight night of 2023. As always, if you enjoyed the video, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. It's greatly appreciated. Leave a comment with your picks in the comment section down below, and I'll be sure to get to them in the, reaction to this fight. But yes, guys, let's get straight into it. Sean Strickland's taking on Imavov. He's coming in and replacing Calvin Gastelum on short notice. A bit of a change as well in terms of the weight, now taking place at 205 instead of 185 pounds. I definitely think that favors Imavov if I was having to guess. I think Imavov is the bigger of the two. Sean Strickland also previously fought at welterweight 170 pounds. So it's going to be interesting whether the style of the fight is going to go to a place where there's going to be heavy grappling or not. I'm not too sure, so I'm not sure if the weight is going to come, into it too much. But I think, looking at Imavov, first of all, in the UFC, he's been very impressive. I wouldn't say he's had these sort of fights where he's had those standout sort of moments, which have kind of blown him up. But he's been very consistent. He's won all of his fights but one against Halls, in which he lost on the scorecards. Last time out, he was able to pick up a big win against Buckley, and I thought Buckley looked pretty good in that fight as well, so credit to him. The Shabazian one was, I guess you could say, a bit underwhelming from Shabazian's side. Obviously, he was kind of in a dip of form, in my opinion, for quite some time there, but he was able to get him out of there in the second round. And what I've been really impressed with Imavov is his sort of stand-up and the striking game. He looks very composed. He used the jab to set up a lot of his strikes, and I think he uses his size well. He doesn't, kind of get into brawls on the inside where he could get caught. He uses his range, and he's been very successful with that. The grappling for him as well. He's got a decent wrestling game. And when it comes to the submission grappling, his guillotine's definitely one of his go-to sort of submissions. And he's quite heavy on top, in my opinion. Sean Strickland, on the other hand, coming in after, it was the last card of 2022 against Cannonier, a split decision loss. I can't even remember how I scored that fight. I think it was really close, and it probably could have gone either way. I think Cannonier landed the bigger shots, but you were probably impressed with Strickland and his sort of volume striking nevertheless. Before that, he lost against Pereira, the current champ now, which is kind of impressive, but he got knocked out bad, and I think a lot of people had a lot of backlash against Strickland for the way he kind of entered the fight and the way he kind of fought against Pereira. Wasn't necessarily smart. But before that, he came back in, I think it was 2020 after a pretty severe, was a bike accident, which put him on the sidelines for quite some time, and he looked really impressive at 185 pounds, climbed the rankings, and, if he would have beat Pereira, he probably would have got a title shot. But coming in to this fight on short notice, it's kind of a pick-em when it comes to the odds. I'm going to go with Strickland. I think the fact that this fight is over 25 minutes kind of suits him. He's a guy who's always in shape, seems to go all day, and I think that's kind of behind his sort of philosophy of striking in general, in terms of the way he doesn't load up and swing these heavy shots and look for the finish at all times. He kind of picks his strikes when they're there, throws with high volume, but little power on some of the shots. They're just shots to pick up points, and I think that's going to do him favors in this fight. I think Imavov could hurt Strickland if he can land the sort of strikes that he needs to. I think the right hand is probably going to be the weapon which he could look to finish Strickland with. However, I think that would mean that he'd have to get the jab going, and I could see Strickland kind of shutting that down, just playing on the end of the range of Imavov and picking him apart with a lot of strikes. I think it's going to be an interesting matchup. I think the winner of this is in for a big fight. I'm not sure who they could get him against. I think potential, if it's a quick finish for either guy, maybe Robert Whittaker on that pay-per-view, which is coming up soon in where is it? It's in Australia somewhere. If Strickland could get him out of there, which I don't suspect he can, I don't really see Strickland as this type of guy who's going to finish Imavov within the first round. But if he could, there could be a potential for a quick turnaround and potentially fight Robert Whittaker down under. But yes, guys, let's get into the co-main event. I think this is a very intriguing fight as well. Damon Jackson coming in against Dan Ige. Damon Jackson is the slight underdog. Dan Ige sitting at number 13 in the featherweight ranks. This is a big chance for Damon Jackson. In the UFC, I think he's actually been really good, and he's been high quality. Good value for his money as well for the UFC. I think they picked him up from the PFL. But he came in, he beat Bektik. His only loss inside the UFC's come against Duporia, and I think people are suddenly starting to, get onto the line back. Tuporia is an absolute animal and certainly could be a contender at 145 very soon. But you look at the other fighters he's beat. Charles Rosa, I think, is a fighter that you should be beating if you want to be competing at the higher end of the featherweight division. But last time out, the Sabatini win, a knockout in the first round, was very impressive. Dan Ige, on the other hand, he's kind of been in some shit form. Just putting it out there like that, I guess you could say. He beat Barboza, but lost against Kate. He beat Tucker, but lost against the Korean Zombie. And now he's on 2-fight skid, losing against Emmett and Ivalev by decision. For me, I think this fight is going to kind of depend on the sort of striking rounds. I think Jackson is more of an unorthodox sort of striker, but I think his chin is there to be hit. And if Ige can find that chin early on in the fight, I think he could shut his lights out. I'm going to be interesting to see how Jackson sort of adapts to the fight. Is he going to be able to get into the grappling sort of stages of the fight? Because I think if he does, he's going to be quite dominant against Ige. I think his grappling game's actually quite impressive. His top pressure as well is really good. I like Ige for this one. I'm going to go with Damon Jackson. I think he could even pick up a finish. He's kind of weird with his strikes, but he showed that he's got power in his hands as well. I think Dan Ige is probably the worthy favourite, but I'm going to go with Damon Jackson. I think he can pick up a big win here. I haven't got too much to say on the next fight. I've seen Soriano fight once or twice, I believe, and I've seen Kopylov lose a couple fights. I'm going to go with Soriano just because I don't have too much knowledge on this fight in general, guys, so I'm going to go with that one. The women's bantamweight fight, however, does intrigue me a lot more. Ketlin Vieira taking on Raquel Pennington. Raquel Pennington's come back recently, and I think she's looked kind of similar. Maybe she's off the pace a little bit compared to what she used to be. I think she's got that sort of internal sort of dog in her, which makes her, a hard fight for anyone because she's got that never die sort of attitude, and she fights in a very gritty way as well in terms of her striking in the clinch as well. But for me, I think Ketlin Vieira is the better fighter everywhere. I think in stand-up, she's probably got a bit more discipline about her, and I think she's more well-rounded there as well. I think she's got much more stopping power than Pennington as well there. And when it comes to the grappling, I think if she could take Pennington down, this fight could be a bit of a mess for Pennington. I think she could fuck her up, in all honesty, and I think she is going to. I'm going to go with Ketlin Vieira. I could see a second round sort of submission here. I could see Vieira, kind of toying with her on the feet. I think Pennington could make it tough if she can close the sort of exchanges and get into that clinch. But I think Vieira's going to get her down in the second round, and I feel like she might get her with some sort of like arm triangle. That's just my belief anyway. The first card on the main card is Umar Nurmagomedov taking on Ronnie Barcelos. For me, this is probably the biggest favourite on the card, right? Minus 750 plus 550. I think this fight is going to be more about Umar and what he can do. I think in terms of Barcelos, he's definitely a tough customer. He can definitely crack on the feet. He's got good Muay Thai. But Umar is just so well-rounded. He's been pretty flawless inside the UFC. Compared to Khabib, he's nothing like him. Obviously, he's still got that, real good grappling game, and he's super heavy on top. But his striking game is just next level. He's more compared to Nurmagomedov in Bellator. Likes to throw kicks, very flexible off the lead leg. I do wonder, though, is that style, which he has, is it more open to vulnerability? Is he more able to be caught because of the way he fights? I think that's maybe a case compared to Khabib. But I see Umar kind of running through Ronnie. I could see, Ronnie being a tough customer, but I see Umar actually getting him out of there in the first round. And I think he might do it with strikes. I could see him maybe catching him with a kick. Maybe he leans on his wrestling a bit later on in the fight. That's definitely a possibility if he doesn't get him out of there in the first round. But I'm going to go with Umar either way. So my 5 picks are Umar, Ketlin Vieira, Soriano, Damon Jackson, and Sean Strickland. That's my main card picks, guys. I'm going to be back with a review depending on how the card goes. If it is a good card, I will come back and kind of talk over it. If it's a bit dog shit, I won't. But I'm going to be trying to keep hold of my stats this year, both MMA and boxing, for my picks, so I can get a percentage for what my picks are at the end of 2023. As always, guys, if you did enjoy the video, leave a like, subscribe. I'm going to be back next week with more fight picks, some undisputed news. I know there was a leaked sort of release date for the game, so maybe I'll be back with that. And yeah, guys, thank you for watching. Be sure to check out the other videos on the channel, and I will see you, if I can find my mouse, next time. Peace out.